Welcome to Bourbon on the Water. We're ice fishing a northern latitude lake today, and we got lucky. It's been I've been up here in this location for a few days now, and most mornings have been 0, 1, 2 degrees. It's 20 degrees. Haven't done this since I was a kid. I fish all the time, but not on the ice, so it's gonna be an adventure. I'm making a ice fishing rod out of a tip of a fly rod. Right now I'm just building a reel seat out of tape. Just rolling the tape, trying to get it so it'll match the curvature of the foot. And for those of you that aren't drinking bourbon when you're fishing, I'm not sure where you went off the beam. I'm here to help. So I got the reel on there. I taped the reel on the reel seat that I made, lined it up with the guides. Now I'm gonna make a temporary grip. My hole's frozen already. It's frozen back up. I don't know what I'm doing at all. All right, let's introduce our bourbon for the day. Old Forester 1910. So in 1910, they had a fire at their distillery. They were ready to bottle, and they had all their booze in a vat at 100 proof, and their bottling line burned down. So they rebarreled it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just slicing these cork rings on one side, just so they open up a little bit. And I'm popping them over the blank. Oh, that one broke. That's okay, because we're gonna tape them. So by doing this, I'm slowly making, just enough of a grip, just enough to get me through the ice fishing, hopefully with a fish. So we have one of the locals here, claims to have a fish. We'll see what he's got.
You got something?
Whiskey rule 46, you always get outfished by the locals.
It's a peakerel.
So I got my rig. I have a skittish smolt fly that I tied it with a little extra flash. It's important. It's gonna look like a feeding fish. Hey, something's going on over here. And then boom, I got my hare's ear nymph. So this is the first double-barreled bourbon. They use the exact same 1910 recipe. It goes into the barrel a second time at 100 proof, just like it did in 1910. And that smooths it over. And all the sugars in that wood get into this whiskey. And it's gonna be terrific. I have never had this. This is one of 4 of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series. And I'm very anxious to try it. I also picked this one because it's cold. Okay, so that's a little more tape than I wanted, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't moving around too much. It's got to be comfortable, and I want to recover it afterward. So let's talk about why we chose the Old Forester today. First of all, we're ice fishing. This is born in fire. This was created because of a fire. It's just perfect. You fight ice with fire. This was born in fire, but also it's cold. And this whiskey's known for its long, warm finish, and you need that Kentucky hug when it's cold, baby. So that's where we're headed after we catch this big fish that we're about to catch. Then the Kentucky hug. That's not part of the review, that's just recreational. We have our 1910 Whiskey Row series, Old Forester. The locals are catching fish. I'm not. Whiskey Rule 46, you always get outfished by the locals. That's what's going on. But I'm doing my reviews outdoors, where I drink most of my whiskey. I'd probably drink half of it outdoors, to be fair. And it's time, I think, to perhaps sample. Oh, what was that? So, if we refer to our whiskey rules, And these are rules for drinking and decorum in the backcountry and while you're fishing. Things change. For example, you wouldn't sip whiskey at 8 in the morning sitting on your neighbor's swing set. That's a little creepy. That's not proper decorum. But in the woods or on the ice, 8 in the morning, it's almost mandatory, isn't it? It's almost mandatory to drink bourbon in this situation. Those are the whiskey rules. Now, there's only really one hard, fast whiskey rule, and that's get a designated driver if you're drinking. That's the only mandatory rule. I have one. Other than that, they're all arbitrary. For example, Rule 46. You always get outfished by the locals. It's not my favorite rule, but it seems to happen over and over again, so we've postulated it as Rule 46. You always get outfished by the locals. We're gonna jig for a while. Then we're gonna beg for bait. I'm not doing so well, so something's gotta change. So, I think it's time. Look at the color of this in this bottle. I don't know if it comes out, but it's just beautiful. It looks so desirable. I like drinking out of glass. Old Forester 1910. This is a nice bottle. I'm very excited. We're cold out here. Is the Old Forester 1910 a good fishing whiskey? It's time to find out. I'm gonna do it a couple sips. We're a bit, we have some decorum here. Oh, okay. So first of all, this is a little better than what I'm used to. So I'm gonna like it. Okay, I'm gonna be impressed with it. But more. Wow. It's time to warm up again. So that's what we're gonna do.
Is it okay to photobomb you?
Yes, we've ended the abuse stage of the ice fishing trip. This is 93 proof. I'm out on the ice with a bunch of ice fishermen, so I'm hoping I get out of here with this thing pretty full, if you know what I mean. You've got flavor going. The second it hits your lips, and then that finish, that is what I call a fishing finish. You need that Kentucky hug. That's what gives you the illusion of warmth. It's an illusion, but it still feels good. This is hold on. It's so smooth. And it's not an explosion in your chest. It's just a warmth, and it really lasts. It really is a long finish. And you really taste the charred oak when you're sipping it at the end. You really get it, and it stays with you. It's not the burning explosion Kentucky hug. It's just warmth, baby. You can't do much better than this for a fishing bourbon. You really can't. Between the smoothness and the warmth in the cold weather. Okay, it's 20. It's not that cold. It's cold. It's cold. I'm cold. I'm sitting here. I'm cold. This is terrific. This is going to warm you up. It's going to make you feel good. It tastes great. I'm lucky to have this bottle. One heck of a good fishing whiskey. So here we are back at On the Hunt. And this is the Old Forester 1910. This is a chewy bourbon. This thing's thick. A lot of people would put water, and it's even suggested in reviews to throw a splash of water in there. And I would never do that. I would never do that. I like it the way it is. Everyone enjoys their bourbon their own way. That's personal preference. I like to drink most of my bourbon straight, no cubes, just the bourbon. but whatever, it's delicious anyway, isn't it? I found this in one of those big superstores. Very impersonal, lots of selection. This was way up high on a shelf. This was the one. And I think I paid $55. Again, I think this is worth it. I haven't drank too much upper level bourbon. I'm a $50 and below guy, but I would say this is worth that extra bump. It's pretty darn good. I really liked it. Good fishing bourbon. Good fishing hug with this bourbon.